Whoa, I think this is big. This is amazing. This is what Christianity and strength is all about. But check out this article here on Gateway Pundit. Desperate for peace, Congo's president offers Trump control of 24 trillion in minerals to bring peace in the region. Wow. All right. I want to just go through the video real quick and maybe go through the article. I'm just kind of excited about this. This is colonialism 2.0. I mean, this is because China is totally doing it across the world, and the left and Democrats know it, but they don't care. Islam is doing it. They know it, but they don't care. The only thing that the left and Democrats want to stop from doing this is Christianity. That is the biblical truth. That is what's going on. That is why the queer are for Palestine. Nothing else. No reasoning or logic can you explain that. There's no way. And God knows it. But the Bible explains it. They hate him, and so they will side with anything that hates God and Jesus Christ, Israel, any of that. They hate that. So they will do everything they can for tyranny, for China to win, for Islamic regimes to win across the world. That is why you see the Democrats and the left and the globalists flood Europe with Islamic militia, because they want to destroy. And God wrote it in their hearts. I'm a Calvinist. God made good and evil. Well, what is evil? Well, evil is death. But what is evil? How is evil enacted? It's enacted by evil people. How can someone freely, truly choose evil? It has to be written in their code. You know, we're all like super AIs. God made us all super AIs. I mean, it's, you know. And he gave us, some of us, the image of God, which is his sort of freedom, his free will. But some of us are even the evil and the wicked. You know, think about this. You know, a lot of people tell me, well, how can God make evil people and love them? Just like you and I can make evil things and still love it. Darth Vader. We love Darth Vader, but we know he's evil. And his story is evil. But even our own children, we know we're going to make children coming into a world that is evil, and those children could be evil, but we still love them. That's the same with God. God knows who's good and evil, but he still loves them. He loves them because of what he's created. This matrix, this world. So there's good doing things and there's evil doing things. Yes, he's going to make the evil suffer because he gave them the free will to actually not choose their evil, but they're not going to. They're not going to. I mean, you can tell. Abortion, what's going on across the world. So I want to watch this video and respond to it. I don't know if I can. I watch a lot of like Christians responding to videos and play them. You know, and even Asmongold, but you know, he's kind of a fun little thing to watch and see if he's going to convert. I keep smacking my lips. I'm enjoying my coffee with butter. But I watch a lot of Christians who do it, so I'm see if I can do it. I hope I can do it, because sometimes I get.
President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mr. President, thank you for being here. I want to start with this. The Trump administration is interested in securing exclusive mineral deals with countries rich in rare earth minerals. We saw.
By the way, in my Christians of Space game and in the Apostles, it's called Tech Spice. If you can gather Tech Spice, you can use it to upgrade your cool stuff, you know.
That obviously recently with Ukraine. Can you talk about the discussions for a deal with your country?
Très bien, merci.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. We are looking for partnerships, and we have established partnerships with many other countries.
He's speaking French, right? So there's already a colonial thing going on there.
And we think the United States of America, given its role and influence around the world, is an important partner to have. And we are very happy to see that with the Trump administration, things are moving a lot faster on both sides.
Untapped deposits are worth an estimated $24 trillion. What would you need to happen to move forward with that relationship?
We want to extract these minerals, but also process them, as this would create a lot of jobs. And we want a partnership that will provide lasting peace and stability for our countries, which we need.
It's a dangerous.
So why can't they just do it? You know, all black people do it. I don't know. I don't really care about that, but like the left does. But why can't they do it? And I think the reason they can't do it is they're not Christian. It's Christianity that's the force that does it. And Christianity has the foothold in Europe and in America and the West, and you know, with white people. but that's because it was eradicated from Africa and the Middle East by Islam. Islam eradicated it. I will say one thing though. I have been reading some hagiographies of 3rd, 4th century Christians, and I don't know if it's the curse of, the Moses thing, the curse of one of his sons, Ham, curse of Ham, I think. And then Ham supposedly maybe went south to Africa and he's black. I don't know if it's that, but the black people have this sort of weird curse pre-Christianity where they just cannot, like a stumbling block by God. I don't know, but the suffering of the African people, the black people, has been 10 times that of whites. I mean, we've got plenty of suffering and genocide and all that, but they're suffering under slavery, under Islamic slavery, and then under like all these sort of butcherings and genocides that are constantly going on today. I'm kind of wondering if that's the curse of Ham. I don't know, but the Christianity that was there in the 3rd century was actually, it was interesting because I remember reading the bishops or popes or cardinals were trying to bring in pastors down into gosh, I'm blanking on this. They had some major towns right there, like Alexandria or Carthagena or whatever back then, and they were murdered by the Christian heretics that were there. So and the way he described them was like they sounded like pre-Islam. They were very violent and terrorizing. So that was interesting. But anyway, Islam or Christianity got wiped out from Africa, until the European colonizers, 17th, 18th century. So their history has really got a really messed up history. Even in the South America's, the Christianity there is very weak and easily wiped out, every few generations because of the pagan or secular attacks. And in Africa, they have these continual Islamic attacks, and voodoo and the pagan attacks that just kind of wipe out, generations of Christians over and over and Christianity grows again, and then they get, wiped out again. And that's going on constantly now. And, the left is not going to report on that. But anyway.
Here's place, the Congo. How would a U.S. company guarantee safety on the ground?
We can build our defense and security capabilities. And I think that the U.S. is able to use either pressure or sanctions to make sure that armed groups who are in the DRC can be kept at bay.
I do think I'd love for America to do this. And yeah, would we have our young men going there to fight? Yes, but it's not a draft. It's a volunteer type of army that does this and understands what we're doing there. So they're not going there to fight a lie. They're going there understanding what they're doing there. And that's to obviously secure the nation for a good trade deal of essential, materials. And the thing is, China is doing this across the world, like hugely, and they're enslaving people. Whereas I would hope, and hope that there's enough Christians there to watch over it, would create businesses over there that care for the people. And that thing that really takes me off too is like the colonialism that we've had in the past, 70s, 80s or whatever, and they say that like we raped their countries and took their resources. Here's the thing. In the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 1960s, 70s, 80s, when America was doing a lot of this across the world, and I think they were, guess what they were doing to these countries? They were bringing them telephone wires and sewer systems and modernizing their world, giving them these things as we were raping their countries of their resources. We were also helping them build up an infrastructure for a modern life. And that's now regressing because of this stupid Democrat control of the narrative that, that we're backing off from all that. Anyway.
Mr. President, the United States has been concerned about China's influence in Africa, particularly in the DRC. How would you manage this relationship with Beijing while maintaining ties with the U.S. that you obviously want to expand?
Nature abhors a vacuum, as the saying goes. It's not that China is waxing in Africa. It's more that America is waning in Africa, and we would be very happy to have our American friends here who used to be more present than China in the 70s and 80s.
How do you think a minerals deal, if it comes to fruition, would benefit?
Back in the 70s, 80s, when I was a kid, I remember seeing these adults or teachers would give us slideshows on their trips to Egypt and Africa. And they were wonderful trips, peaceful. Everything was just talking about how wonderful the culture was there. They checked out this, checked out that, the food. I remember just doing this and seeing this from like teachers and stuff and professors, because I was in an enrichment resource thing. I had high IQ or something. But and I remember seeing that. And this is like Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. Remember the Raiders of the Lost Ark was that then? And we used to have this presence, and no one would mess with Americans, or they would welcome them in for their business. And that's changed, and I believe that's changed because of Democrats. I think Jimmy Carter allowed the Shah of Iran to fall, just like they allowed Vietnam to fall when they got rid of Nixon and then reneged on the Paris Peace Accord that we had won Vietnam War, by the way. And then after the media sniped and ambushed Nixon, got him out of forced him to resign because of their manipulations. Just like the COVID lockdowns, just like the mortgage crisis, the media and the Democrats create a crisis that tests every Republican president since after Reagan. And the only way they can win elections now is by destroying the end process of a Republican who's successful. Nixon was a successful president until this whole Watergate, and then that kind of floundered. But then the media trapped him on getting him to be defensive about his own position of power or whatever. And so they got him to resign, impeached him, got him to resign. And so then when Ford took over, he was weak, and the Democrats took over the House and Congress or whatever, and they reneged on the Paris Peace Accord and the fall of Saigon, just like the fall of Afghanistan when they stole this election. I freaking hate Democrats. Jesus told me to love the enemy. I get it, but Democrats suck. But no, do I want you to go burn their... God, what do they love? Go and spray paint their judges' homes and burn their judges' homes? No, I don't want you to do that. Do I want you to mess with the judges and their families? Nope. I would like you... It would be neat if we pretended that just to make them go, ooh, but don't want to do that. I have a life to live, and I love life, so as opposed to them loving death. Anyway, let's move on. I keep getting snarky.
Benefit Americans.
Silicon Valley companies know exactly what I mean. And so I think this partnership will help these industries develop more and more innovative products.
I want you to address, if you could, and talk about the fighting in eastern DRC, and how do you intend to resolve it?
The DRC has a neighboring country called Rwanda, which about 30 years ago experienced a genocide. The international community at the time asked us to open our borders to receive droves of refugees who were fleeing the fighting and the massacres. And since then, unfortunately, this hellish situation that was in Rwanda at the time has seeped into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That is why we insist on having sanctions.
Last thing, Mr. President, it has been 50 years since one of the greatest sporting events involving U.S. athletes, the Rumble in the Jungle. It took place in your capital, Kinshasa. 1 billion people watched Muhammad Ali, expected to lose, defeat George Foreman in that fight. Can you talk about the legacy of that fight for your country and the United States?
Yes, of course. We still remember. This event really galvanized the people and had everybody's attention. They were training here. And every time they went somewhere, people knew about it. So we really experienced a boom thanks to that, this historic fight that really put our country on the map. We really have a lot to give. And all we ask is really for an opportunity to live in peace.
Well, Mr. President, we appreciate the time, and we look forward to following all news out of the Congo and the DRC, and we'll follow this relationship with you and the U.S. Thank you very much, sir.
Merci, Mr. Bayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bear. Thank you.
Man, that would be awesome. I mean, to bring us back to the world and help people and build up their communities and and just this whole white colonialism crap that the Democrats have spewed in our universities to our kids, to our younger generation is just pathetic. I don't need to read all this, but it's just amazing to me. America First 2.0. I don't know. I just the left and they're I'm just this is just wonderful. Imagine we going there. It's just going to be a great thing. I think. I don't know. I kind of get chills thinking like of our colonizing again. I actually want to make a colonizing RPG, some sort of But anyway, I just going back there and it's just this is just wonderful. I hope this happens. I hope Trump really gets this happening. Evil is evil. Evil's going to keep doing what evil does. I just hope we keep fighting it and keep talking about it and exposing it for what it is. But evil is the baseline. It's what good does that matters. Evil is always going to do evil. So Democrats are always going to do what Democrats do. So I'm a Calvinist. That's just the way it is. It's what we good do now in this game of life. That's what God wants to know. What are you going to do? So I hope he does it. I hope they move there and we get a big presence there and get the minerals, whatever, but build up their communities, build get them, create their companies in those worlds for them. That would be so awesome. Anyway, the game of life, everybody, roll holy dice.